I thought The Law and the Law won, which eventually went to become a Clash song, I reckon. Nick Maruchak joins us right now. G'day, Nick. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How's the office? How's the phone? How's the hotline? We busy?
Yep, we are. I think we've got a few callers lined up today. One of the callers I actually didn't get a chance to speak to last week, so I spoke to her yesterday, and I'm really excited to talk to her.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's do that. If you'd like to speak to Nick today, you can. 133 882. Anything you like, any law issues you like. And Nick's very diligent. He's very diligent. If he doesn't know, he'll try and find out for you. G'day, Debbie.
Hi, how you going?
Good, thank you. Far away.
Okay, so my issue is with the tax department. What's happened is in March last year, I paid my final BAS payment for my business, which I closed in the end of 2022. Now, that was $4,289. In June of last year, I got a reminder that I hadn't paid this amount. And I sort of thought to myself, gee, that's strange because I'm pretty good at paying bills, etc. So, long story short, I ended up paying it again. I was going away on a family trip the next day overseas, and I just sort of thought, look, I'll just, pay it. The next morning, I did a search in my bank account and, of course, realised that I had paid it. Rang the bank because I paid it on a credit card thinking, well, if I put it on a credit card, I can cancel it at least. But when I rang the bank and spoke to the young lady, she said, because it's pending, we can't cancel it, and it's the ATO and all the rest of it. So I just let it rest, and she assured me when I got back that I'd have no trouble getting this $4,289 back. So 7 months down the track, I still haven't got the money back. I've been put on hold for hours on end. I've been lied to about getting it back in 2 weeks, just hold on, etc., etc. So the final correspondence I got from the ATO basically was because the card that I used had expired, they could not return the money on the new card, even though the numbers were the same. So it's just really doing my head in. What they said that I had to do was go to the bank, get my bank to do a chargeback. Now, I went to the bank and unfortunately, according to their rules and regulations, because the chargeback was over 90 days, they couldn't do that for me either. So I've just been, I literally just feel like the bank's let me down, the ATO's let me down, and I'm just sort of pulling my hair out, not knowing what to do.
All right, let's see what Nick thinks. Nick, what do you reckon?
So, Debbie's gone through, had a member of parliament write to them. Even people within the ATO said you should get this money back. We just can't do it because of bureaucracy. So basically, I actually spoke to a friend of mine who's an expert tax lawyer. His name is Dr. Michael Robson from Robson Legal in Osborne Park. And he deals with the tax disputes all the time. And his view is that, look, if a taxpayer overpays their tax, they're absolutely entitled to return that tax. So there's no dispute that Debbie is entitled to her money back, the $4,500 she overpaid, right? Mm-hmm. It's clear here that the ATO is a little bit under distress here. They're a bit understaffed. The administration is not going perfectly. So, Debbie, what you can do is you first do an internal review. You get a complaint number within the ATO. If you're not happy with that, then you can go to the Inspector General, the Taxation Ombudsman. You can't go to the Ombudsman unless you have that complaint number. I've been chatting to Debbie, and Debbie appears to have gone to the Ombudsman or done the internal review, hasn't had any success. But you really want to try that first. If you can't, then your last port of call is actually commencing proceedings against the Commission of Taxation. So the ATO, you put down the Commission of Taxation, you commence a minor case claim. Debbie will be able to put down in there that the claim will be something along the lines of unjust enrichment. And so if Debbie lodges that claim with Magistrates Court, does a minor case claim, it gets sent by the bailiff to the ATO, then someone in the legal department will take it over, it will get elevated to someone higher up, and then hopefully she gets a resolution. And starting court claims is not as scary as it sounds, because the first step you usually have to do is do a mediation, and you don't have to go to trial straight away. So it's actually unfortunate that Debbie's gone through this situation. And the other thing that Michael Robson said is that the government issues checks all the time. There's no reason why the Commonwealth can't just send a check to her. Mm-hmm. So it's clearly there's just been they're burdened with bureaucracy, and something's gone wrong, and this should have been fixed ages ago. And I just feel that Debbie's pain, that she's gone through so much torture.
So, Debbie, Thank you for letting us know. And I guess more broadly, the issue of if this does happen to our listeners more broadly, it's a lesson learned. Debbie, we'll leave it there, and maybe perhaps Nick can continue the fight for you. But that sounds really basic.
Yeah.
Well, if you paid it already, and you
paid it twice.
Yeah. Especially if it's the ATO, crikey.
Yeah, and the fact that she has to go and sue them now because everything else exhausted means that it's just what a waste of money for taxpayers.
Waste of money and time. Debbie, I'll put you back to Anne, and we'll stay in touch, and I'm sure Nick will try and help you out some more. This next story is amazing, listeners. This is an everyday story about a man going to buy a bottle of wine at a bottle shop. His name's Neil, and he lives in the Ballajura area. G'day, Neil.
G'day, Simon. How are you?
Yeah.
Good to hear you back.
Thank you, mate. What happened?
Yeah, Saturday, I'm out and about, went to Bunnings, did a couple of things there. My wife sends me an SMS saying, can you pick up a bag of cat litter and a bottle of wine because it was our daughter's birthday and we were having a family around Saturday night.
Yep.
So I walk into the liquor store,
Mm.
and it's the one I regularly go to, and the young attendant stands there and points at me and shouts out, you are not permitted in here. You are drunk and abusive. Your wife, I've just got off the phone to your wife as she's identified you down to a T. I'm not going to serve you. And I thought he was joking type thing.
Yeah.
I went and got my wine and put it on the counter. And again, he says on top note, I told you I am not going to serve you because you're drunk and abusive. And I'm sort of like, now
were you, Neil?
No.
No. Okay. So he's saying your wife he's saying, mate, Neil, your wife has called here and I'm not going to serve you.
Yeah, no, see, that's the point. I said, well, if my wife called, what's my wife's name?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, that's irrelevant. I said, well, did she give you my name? And he said, that's irrelevant as well. And I'm sort of like going, okay. So, there was like an assertive conversation. And then I left the store, came back in, with my wife on the phone, and I got her to speak to him, and he was rather assertive to her as well, and she sort of like said whatever. But the annoying part about it is I've lived in the area for 35 years. When I walked into the liquor store, there's people who I know, right?
Yeah.
And he's abused me or accused me of being drunk and aggressive.
So, Neil, what type of bottle shop was it? Was it a consortium one? Was it the one with the big orange sign, or a Thirsty Camel, or an independent, a Liquor Barons? What sort of bottle shop was it?
The big orange one.
Okay, so BWS. All right, so it's a consortium. It's one owned by a supermarket. So it's either a case of mistaken identity, but what's the legalities of that?
So
under responsible service of alcohol.
Well, you can't serve alcohol to someone who the person knows or believes to be drunk, right? But this wasn't the case in Neil's case. This was basically a false accusation by the store clerk there. So the area of law this will fall into would be defamation. So the store clerk defamed Neil by basically calling him an abuser, calling him a drunkard. Do I think there's any defenses to that? Potentially not. There is this offence of this honest opinion, but it has to be in relation to a public matter. So Neil can actually sue the clerk and also the bottle shop. The bottle shop obviously has more money. The bottle shop is liable for the clerk's action. Neil has 12 months to potentially commence a claim in defamation in the Supreme Court. Before he does that, you have to issue something called a concerns notice. You can just look it up or go to a lawyer. You basically have to write to them and say, you defamed me. These are the defamatory imputations, e.g. you called me an abuser, a drunkard. And they've got 28 days to respond. And then obviously you'll write to their head office. And
what about in the court of public opinion? You wait till the boss shows up? Because we all know in a bottle shop who the boss is because their name's on the door. What about they turn up and you say, hey, last Thursday or last Saturday, the young bloke, what's his name, said this to me. You okay with that? Because I'm happy to just go take my $20 and go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's right. That's the practical thing you want to do, right? You want to go chat to them, see if you can resolve it. If Neil's reputation's been harmed here, he could also be entitled to some money, right? And then, so you could say, it depends how far you want to take it, right? If you've got to go to court, you might get some, 15 grand, 20 grand. I don't know. It depends on how wide it was circulated. But maybe the bottle shop owner might, give you a few extra cartons or something like that, and you could resolve it informally. But he definitely has been harmed here. The problem with defamation is you only got 12 months, and that's why you got to take action quickly. And I don't know if it's worth seeing a lawyer for this, but it's worth maybe just Googling and writing concerns notice and seeing if you can extract something out of them, just to kind of
Yeah. Neil, what do you reckon?
Yeah. I mean, I was just so like, as I said, I was flabbergasted by it all, and I'm going, I'm not going to let it ride. Something has to happen as a result of it, because you can't just do that.
No, try and speak to the boss, Neil. I mean, most bottle shops, you can see the the proprietor's name in there. That BWS is run by a supermarket. I would always recommend people go to independent liquor stores, but anyway. But yeah, mate, either go if you don't get any satisfaction, go somewhere else, mate. Just take your trade somewhere else. I know it's a pain in the bum, but that's not okay. I think that if that was one of your kids, you'd say that's not okay. No. Thanks, Neil. Thanks for letting us know. Let us know how you go, mate. Appreciate it. This is it's 13 and a half minutes to 11 o'clock. This is Law Talk with Nick Maruchak. Yeah, the phone lines are open 133 882. Yeah, talking the law with Nick Maruchak and Nick. Joe's phoned in. G'day, Joe.
Hi, how you going?
G'day, mate. Good, thanks.
Just quickly, I was part of a Facebook group that had about 4,500 people in it, and I got myself into a bit of a bind, and I ended up in court, and I ended up getting a conviction put on me. Don't want to go into the details, but bottom line was the guy who organised the group, he was actually in court. Don't know why he turned up, but then he put a post on telling everybody about my business, and I just wanted to know: is that a fair thing to do? Like, did he break any laws?
Look, if the post was true, it's not defamation. If court proceedings are all public, so you're allowed to report. Did you get a spent conviction or not? Can you recall? Was the conviction spent, which means that it's kind of off your record?
No.
Okay, so then definitely, so they're allowed to report that. So there's, so he was, as long as it was truthful, you're allowed to report on convictions, provided that the court didn't make any sort of non-publication order in the proceedings, which doesn't happen often.
Joe, what sort of group was it? Did you pay a membership fee to this group, did you?
No, it was a social group.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the thing I can think of is, look, maybe it's against Facebook's policies, so you might want to do an internal report there. From a legal point of view, I can't see anything if it was true. If it was not true, then you've potentially got defamation there. So,
thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Good luck to you, mate. That's a bit mean-spirited, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thanks for your correspondence today. I am reading it all. Davo says it's correct about the gun clubs. You cannot get in. I have 4 rifles. I know a lot of farmers. I should be okay with the letters I can get off them. Thanks, Davo. And I will come back to you, some of your correspondence. If you have a call for Nick Maruchak, please give us a call, 133 882. Big story in the paper today, Nick, which I might get your thoughts on. It's called the Bombara Review, and there's some heavy-duty institutions involved in this, the Police Professional Standards Division, the CCC, the WA Coroner, and the WA Ombudsman. And I guess those, they almost form an independent report into the actions of the police and Mark Bombara, don't they? So there's probably no other higher institutes in the land where this information can be presented, I wouldn't have thought.
Not from the top of my head, because when it comes to police review, they're the entities that review the procedures and whether it was followed, and then make recommendations to improve. I believe the report hasn't been published, right?
That's right.
Yeah, but the family members were aware of it.
I think so, yeah.
I'm keen to read it, because that is a tragic story, and and it's a case of, how much action does a police officer have to take based on information they have, and it's a difficult job for the police officers to make that call.
One of our correspondents, Brendan, says with regards to Debbie and the ATO, Nick, given how quick the ATO are to charge interest to people, could Debbie get awarded interest given it was an ATO mistake?
Yeah, potentially, that's right. So there is something called prejudgment interest. So when you have a claim, the court has a scale that will give you that you can charge interest on the prejudgment amount. So it's a little bit higher than the cash rate. So whatever it is now, 6% or something like that. So she's entitled to interest. So she can chuck that on her $4,000 as well.
Love to keep an eye on that one, because that's just so bleeding obvious that she's paid it twice, isn't it? It's just one of those ridiculous situations. And I must admit, I mean, we talk about the ATO a fair bit on the program in terms of how you deal with them. They're happy to take your calls. There's a lot of them who work at the ATO. You'd think they'd sort that out pretty quick. If people want to get hold of you, Nick, how do they do that?
We've got a website, 2 websites, Perth Employment Lawyers or Family Law Assist. They're the 2 areas we deal with, and 9470-2777. So let's give the office a call, and our team, free chat. We can talk about it, whether it's worthwhile pursuing a lawyer or whether there's other options you can take as well.
Yeah, it's as an industry sector, family law isn't going anywhere soon, is it? It's a massive sector.
Yeah, and it's really busy in January because a lot of people kind of after the holidays, they're kind of starting a new year, so
reset.
They're going, and the way we like to operate is we like people to reach an agreement and keep things out of court. I know there's other family lawyers that like to litigate. We don't. Most 80%, 90% of our matters are reached an agreement, and that's the best way to do it because you just want to you just want to move on quickly and save as much money as possible.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, mate. Well done.
Thank you, Simon.
Good to see you. See you in a week, hey?
Yep.
Thank you. Nick Maruchak, talking law here on Perth Today, and Nick will be back with us next week and taking your calls.